What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Mighty Gold Standard Podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Matt Llewellyn, and we got our guys, Brandon and Christian from the Forvever Faithful Podcast, and our guy, Mike Andrews from Nothing But Niners. Our guy, Dion from the Niner Game Podcast, will be joining us a little later, but for now, it's your boys here. If you're tuning in on Twitter, head over to youtube.com/49ers Hive. It's scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Join from there so we could see and interact with your comments. We got a full house for you guys tonight. We got a great show planned for you this evening. Now that I got all that out, Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Zach. It looks like it's a little bit of an invasion in here. I fully expect that to happen down at Levi's South on Sunday as well. It's kind of fitting that they changed the 49ers uniforms to the home reds because it's a home away from home, and we want to welcome all the fellows from other podcasts here. It can be their home away from home. I'm excited to get into it. Let's dive right in, man.
Hell yeah, man. It's gonna be a good one. Brandon, Christian, welcome. It's been a while since we've had you on. How you doing, Christian?
Well, I'm good. A little tired. It's been a long day, but I'm doing good. Still riding off that first win. So
I know I love the feeling, man. It's great. Lasts about 4 days, then you're like, all right, time for week 2. Brandon, How you doing?
Doing well, man. Just got off work not too long ago. Just chilling, waiting for the show to start. And just talk about week 2 and preview getting ready to get beat these Lambs. So yeah.
All right, Mike, how you doing this evening?
I am well, man. Just getting in from my bowling league, my Wednesday night bowling leagues, out there kicking some butt, and just setting the stage for my 49ers. I'm ready to do this.
That's what's up, Mike. You're I don't know if it's the filter, but I'm gonna give you credit. Your skin looks silky smooth right now. Buttery smooth.
It's my skincare routine. You guys were talking before the show about some of the stuff that Bus was using. Maybe rub some things in and get things going. We'll leave that between us though.
All right, guys. Like I said, we got a fun show planned for you guys this evening. Head over to our YouTube channel, hit like, hit subscribe. Also, head over to the Forvever Faithful Podcast YouTube channel, like and subscribe there, as well as Nothing But Niners. We got a great show planned for you. So let's get right into it. The first topic on tonight's show is going to be Brock Purdy and where we feel he ranks in the NFL. And let's add this little caveat through week 1 of this season. So you can take into consideration what he did last year and then through week 1, because I know a lot of people were saying, is he going to hold up after the injury? What's it going to look like? That's a huge injury. Well, he looks pretty good. But before I get your guys' thoughts, there's one clip that I probably should have had up from Micah Parsons, of all people, that I am going to pull up and get your thoughts on, because it was quite interesting what he had to say about Brock Purdy. So let me pull this up. We'll play it and then get your guys' thoughts. Work with me here.
Took him to the NFL. And I just don't think that we should sleep on Brock Purdy no more. Yes, he was a 7th-round pick. Yes, he came in late in the season and won 6 straight games, took him to the NFC Championship before his injury. But Purdy, you will not be slept on no more, brother. I think people are coming for you the same way they come for Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. Yes, you are surrounded by a great team, but you are playing your butt off. And you got one hell of a story, brother. If we were to rank Purdy right now, I would put Purdy around. I think Purdy's a top 15 quarterback. There's things that we still want to see from Purdy, not when Purdy's winning, but when Purdy's down. I think the adversity aspect of the football game is huge. Learning how to play from behind, learning situational football. It's not something I'm saying he can't do. It's just something that we just haven't seen yet. And I just don't think that we should sleep on.
Quite an interesting take there from Micah Parsons, of all people. Mike, I'm going to start with you. What do you take of this? And after we all share our thoughts, I'm going to go around and name quarterbacks, see if we would take them over Purdy.
I want to start by saying that wins have a way of skewing people's opinions on all players, not just quarterbacks, but especially quarterbacks, right? You have people making Pro Bowls in the NFL that no one even knew was in the league. Like the Niners were so good last year. We had a center make the Pro Bowl, and all of us were thinking that we need another center, right? Like it was like that heading into the season. No one knew anything. Well, I'm not going to say anything, but much about him. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, he's in the Pro Bowl, right? I look at quarterbacks the way I look at hip hop. There are some people who just do what they do really well. And then there are some other people who are way more skilled and can do a plethora of different things. And those are the people that I am more likely to say are better than other people, right? So Crooked Eye is I use the West Coast guy for you guys. See what I did there for the room, right? Crooked Eye is like a chameleon. He can go on any track, and if you want to do melodic rap, he can do it. If you want to do syllable rap, he can do that. If you want to do lyrical rap, he can do that. Crooked Eye is one of those guys. Tech Nine is one of those guys. They can blend in on any track. But you have a guy like Big Sean, he's going to stay in his lane, and he's going to do what he does well. Brock Purdy is the Big Sean of quarterbacks. That's my answer.
Okay, damn. I like it. Matt, what's your thoughts on Micah Parsons' take?
I mean, I think it's just another in a long line of players that are telling you what nobody apparently wants to believe about Brock Purdy, and that not that he's like the most fantastic. It's not like Micah Parsons said he was top 5. He said top 15, right? He's saying this dude ain't no scrub. And what they're saying without saying it is that this is the best 49ers quarterback that they've probably had under Kyle Shanahan, right? They're not being – nobody's pissed off that Brock Purdy's getting this opportunity on other teams going like, Trey Lance didn't get a shot in San Francisco. Like Micah Parsons now has Trey Lance on his team, and it's not like he's sitting out there, nobody talked this way about Jimmy Garoppolo when he was there. I don't remember players saying, oh, he's top 15. Oh, Jimmy G, he's this and this and that. Some of his teammates did because that's what teammates do. But I haven't seen opposing players come after it in such a almost like they feel like they have to defend one of the other players in the league because of the amount of negativity that's been surrounding him from the 49ers fan base, from the local media to the national media. So it's an interesting thing. And it's not something he had to come out and say or talk about, but he decided that he wanted to. And I think that's just a sign of respect. Goes along with the team voting him team captain as well.
Yeah, it's in this trend of all these players starting a podcast. So I think Micah just kind of volunteered this information up on a podcast. Christian, what's your take on what Micah said? Surprising at all?
No, I think Micah Parsons really making himself one of the best. He's becoming on the field one of the best players, but he's working on his stuff off the field too. I think he's just going to be one of those guys that's like, the figurehead of the league kind of guys, and he's going to be a great player for a long time. I like that he came out and is giving Purdy his props. But I can also see why, because it's kind of funny, it is kind of ironic how he says, well, Purdy hasn't shown that much just against the Cowboys when he was down late in the fourth quarter and came and scored to put the Niners on a drive late in the fourth quarter, which helped us win the game. So I know he hasn't played enough to see a lot of adversity, but the one time he did show complete adversity to beat the Cowboys, he went through it. It was a bad game. He's playing awful. We needed one drive to take the lead late in the fourth quarter in that game, and he did it. So I think, obviously you need a lot of incidences to say it, but I just thought that was kind of funny that coming from the guy whose team that happened to.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really excited to get to this list, but before I do, Brandon, what's your thoughts on that?
It was actually kind of shocking coming from Micah Parsons, but I mean, he's not lying. I think I also agree with him. He's I say top 15 quarterback. I think we're in for a great ride this season too with Purdy under center, and I'm excited to see it. And I was one of the ones that said in the offseason, as Christian could say for me, I was worried about how he was going to look coming off that injury. So, I mean, the way he looked on Sunday I was surprised, but I was also like confident that he was going to look good. So I'm excited for the season. I think this is the best we've looked in a while. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a great start to the year. I think that for some reason, 49ers fans, there's like this divide, and maybe we can attribute it to way back with Jimmy, Trey, and then Trey Purdy, Trey Sam, all these weird arguments 49ers fans have been having online for the past couple of years. And maybe that's why some fans don't even like trust their own eyes when they see Purdy playing well. Yet when you have like a star player from our rival is saying it, like I think it may force some of these fans to kind of take a step back and look at it objectively and take the emotion out of it and realize, like, you know, he is pretty good. So let's get through this list, and you guys can all say, you know, yes or no. You can nod yes or no, however you want to do it. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes. I think we'd all have Patrick Mahomes over Brock Purdy. Josh Allen. We'd all have Josh Allen over Brock Purdy. Joe Burrow. We'd all take Joe Burrow over Brock Purdy. Jalen Hurts. Matt says no. Christian, no. Mike, you would take Jalen Hurts over Brock Purdy? Yes, you would, or no, you wouldn't? You would. Okay. Brandon? No. Okay, so I would take Jalen Hurts over Brock Purdy. Trevor Lawrence? Yes. If you're you can side on the yes side. How about that? Just let's make this as fair as possible to the Brock Purdy doubters out there. So if you're on the Justin Herbert, I would. Yep. Lamar Jackson. I know Matt's answer already. I still would. Dak Prescott. Definitely not.
Can I ask though, why would you take Lamar Jackson in this offense over Brock Purdy?
I just think he
can't run this offense. He doesn't have the precision timing. We're going to run into the same problem that we had with Trey Lance and the same problem that we ran into occasionally with Jimmy Garoppolo.
I get it.
That's not wait.
No, we're not debating this. We're not debating this. I'm trying to flee through this. I should have known Lamar would have been the one to bring it out of us. All right. Dak Prescott, we all said no, right? Clearly. Tua. Mike says yes. Christian says yes. I'm leaning yes. Kirk Cousins, no. Mike says yes. Matt says yes. Christian, no. I'm going to say no just because I think that's where Brock Purdy could be very soon, and he's getting paid a hell of a lot less to do it. Jared Goff, no. Matthew Stafford. It's tough because like prime Matthew Stafford on a contract where he's got, but right now, no, absolutely not. Okay. Geno Smith. No. Justin Fields. No. Deshaun Watson. No. Yeah. Deshaun Watson and never let him get into a massage parlor. Derek Carr. I'm on the fence, so I'm going to say yes. Russell Wilson. Oh, interesting. A lot of no's. Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm sure it's a no. Let's see. Daniel Jones. No. Anthony Richardson. That's okay. We'll keep the rookies out because we really don't know. So let's keep the rookies out. Mac Jones. Baker Mayfield.
No. I think everybody after this point is a no.
Agreed. So I'd say there's a solid 10 to 12 quarterbacks, depending on the iffy ones, that would go over Brock Purdy. So just by that, is it that much of a stretch to say Brock Purdy's a top 15 quarterback in the NFL right now? Mike, you're shaking your head no. No?
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just found it interesting. So many people said no to Tua. Other than his health, he's already in the same offense, and he puts up a lot of yards, and he would do the same thing with our weapons that he does with the ones he has in.
Not the same thing. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are two of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL. They just break defenses. That's what they do.
So you think
Tua and Purdy are the same player?
Okay, all right, that's fair. All right, I'll give it to you that then.
You back down way too easy for my liking there. I think that we would see a different dynamic from this offense, including weapons like Gray, like Ayuk. They would be used more downfield with their route running and the way they break ankles. You would see a very similar thing here as what you're seeing in Miami. I think we would put up more points. It would be a very much the run game would open up a lot more and everything.
Okay. All right. Mike, my initial question to you was top 15 quarterback. Stretch, not a stretch.
Not a stretch at all. No, not a stretch at all.
Okay. All right. Matt, I'm going to throw it to you. Is this promising? Because we're saying this, 8 or 9 games in? Or how many games has he played now? 9 games? Is this like indicative of where he is and probably will be? Or do you think there's still a lot of room for growth when it comes to Brock Purdy?
He's got a lot of experience. I don't know exactly how much more room for growth he has. He's already 23 years old, so he's already going to be, starting to come to the limit of his natural physical ability. As he gets more comfortable in the offense, we could see a little bit more efficiency, right? I know that Kyle Shanahan was asked today about what he said to Brock about the strip sack fumble or whatever, and he was saying, like, ideally, that play would have developed faster, but if it doesn't, sometimes you just got to tuck it and take a sack rather than just try to wait for it to come open. And I think that comes with a little bit more experience inside this offense. But I think that he's going to live between the top 10 and the top 15, and that's perfectly fine for what the 49ers have on this team right now for this Super Bowl window. I could see a few years down the line, if they start to lose pieces, then maybe Brock Purdy kind of isn't as efficient just because of the nature of every quarterback losing weapons kind of comes back down to earth a little bit. We saw it with Patrick Mahomes against the Lions, right? Wide receivers that typically would be sure-handed or not having a Travis Kelce there really limited what Patrick Mahomes could even do. So, all quarterbacks to some extent are a product of their system and the talent around them. It's just what level do those things affect you? So I think Brock living between 10 and 15 with the talent that's on the 2023 49ers is perfectly fine. But when we get to 2027, 2028, some of these guys getting older, maybe they're not as good. If they're not replenishing it the right way that's going to be complementary to him, I could see him kind of stalling in terms of efficiency.
Okay. All right. That makes a lot of sense. And I think that what's tough is, and I hate to, I'm not comparing them at all, right? But it's like looking back, and I watched a couple of highlights because obviously I don't have access to those games. But when Tom Brady first came in, right, and there's that clip going viral about how, he was able to win with scrubs at the wide receiver positions, and this is even like his first full year of starting. And I keep thinking, like, when that era happened, when Tom Brady first came in and it's his first full season as a starter, obviously nobody knew how good he was going to be. And were there tells then that he was going to be this, arguably the greatest quarterback to ever play the game? Christian, you have your head up. Do you think there were, or what?
I would say no, because it took him a while to really become Tom Brady. If you look at it, look at some of the scores, some of the stats when he first started. I mean, he had the best defense in the league. So that had a lot to do with it, and they were getting wins with low scoring games, stuff like that. I mean, he had some intangibles that you can't teach and stuff like that. But I think he progressed and got better every single year. Brady got better, just found some kind of way, whatever it was, he got better progressively each year. But I don't think it was all out there to see even at first. But he's smart. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot, and he finds the open guy and makes the right throw. And he did that when he first came to the league, and that's important to be a good quarterback, especially when you got a good defense. Don't do anything stupid. Let the defense, keep you in the game. And then, so he almost game managed when he first came to the league, from what I remember at least. And then as he got better, then he just took over, and you couldn't stop him.
Mike, do you have anything to add to that?
I do. I think that with this exercise, a lot of the times we look at what a player has done and we try to say, oh, they wouldn't fit here. But I think with the exercise, what we should be doing is trying to envision what they could do in this offense with this team, right? So saying Tom Brady was dependent on a top 10 defense, well, so is every quarterback here for the last 4 years, right? They all have had a top 10 defense. And then we've had better weapons around them. So when you just pick a quarterback, I don't care which one. Take Lamar Jackson, right? Not to bring it back to that debate or anything like that. We've never seen him be asked to hit people in stride on the short passes. His coordinator for 4 or 5 years was Greg Roman, and I think we all felt like it was run the ball well, take a couple of shots, and just make plays happen. And that's the offense that he was in. If you were to bring him here, I don't know that he couldn't hit these guys on a 3-step drop. I don't know that to be sure. So that's what we should be asking ourselves is what they would look like in this system, not just is he better than that quarterback? It's what would they look like here? And that's a very, very different question. I do agree that Brock Purdy is a top 15 quarterback right now, though. So I want to be clear with what I'm saying.
See, just to add to that, I think the biggest thing with Lamar is, and this, I mean, just Kyle's, is processing. Processing is the number one thing you have to have in this offense. If you can't process quick enough, then you're going to struggle in this offense, which is why I think Lamar would struggle. I don't think he'd process quick enough to run this offense.
My counter to that is, who is Lamar Jackson's top wide receiver? His top pass catcher? It's Mark Andrews, right?
Yes.
It's the short routes from his tight end. That's his top guy. Now imagine that with Kittle, but then you have Christian McCaffrey doing the short routes also for the checkdowns, and you have Debo, who is a monster within 5 yards plus or minus of the line of scrimmage. They don't have that luxury over there in Baltimore to say that he can't do it. The one person that they do that with is their tight end. So now give him 3 more weapons that can do that same thing. He might. I'm not saying he will. Obviously this is all hypothetical, but I'm saying that he might look very different.
Matt, I feel like you're dying to get in here.
It's not that. I don't need, my feelings on Lamar Jackson are just that he stopped developing as a passer after his MVP season, that he's just been the same. And whether he's been asked that or not, I don't find his ball placement to be elite. I think that he has really elite throws at times, but the consistency just isn't there that I think Kyle Shanahan would need. And I think that would be a hindrance more than a help. It's the same reason, why I don't think necessarily some of the other guys that you guys would take, right? Like a Derek Carr, like I know, Zach, you nodded your head for that one. To me, I don't think Derek Carr is efficient enough to play in this offense. He's too streaky, too up and down. And it's why I think somebody, like Trevor Lawrence for me is a more fit. He's still young enough that you can coach him up if you need to, but he's already shown progressive growth from year 1 to now. And he's coming into his own as a good quarterback. A lot of the other guys is like, wait and see, right? I actually think the perfect quarterback for the system, believe it or not, in a vacuum, if I wanted any quarterback to run the system, it would probably be Joe Burrow. And he would probably run it just as well as anybody could. And that's over Mahomes, who I think tries to get off script too much, which would probably piss off Kyle, right? Josh Allen, that man does not slide, and he puts the ball in harm's way, right? Not a good thing for a Kyle Shanahan offense. I do think that Joe Burrow would be probably the prototypical. If you said, Kyle, who could you pick around the league? He'd probably pick a Joe Burrow. But I think Purdy is going to do well here. And like I said, I think he's a top 15 quarterback as well, just based off of what he's doing here and what they're asking him to do. So,
yeah. What is crazy to me is we've said this multiple times, right? Like, I think we all think what Kyle likes about Purdy so much and arguably the most is his accuracy. And how many times have we said Kyle's looking for an extension of his brain out there on the field running his offense because he knows what the hell needs to be done. He just can't physically go out there and do it. If Kyle could start himself as quarterback, he probably would, but he can't. So he's like, if somebody could just do what I'm telling you to do, Jimmy could do it like 70% of the time, right? And Kyle operated an offense to where he could do it a lot more than that. But even then, it was still too difficult for him. So that's what I think is so crazy about Brock Purdy and his immediate success. I would attribute it to his accuracy and his dependability and his consistency. But we got our guy Dion in here from the Niner Game Podcast. Dion, how you doing? We're talking about Brock Purdy and where he ranks. The question was, we went through all the quarterbacks and we all kind of agreed he was anywhere between 10 and 14. Would you agree he's a top 15 quarterback right now, Dion?
150%. There's no reason that he shouldn't be a top 15 quarterback. There aren't 15 quarterbacks that are doing that much better than Brock Purdy. I believe he's leading the league right now with his QBR, if I'm not mistaken. Love his decision-making. Love exactly what he does every time he gets out there on the field. The guy he has what Shanahan wants. I think that the report that came out a while back with that coach talking about how Shanahan is completely accurate. He is a in-the-moment kind of guy. It's like if you show him, that you can do it, he's going to put you on the field. the number one thing Shanahan doesn't trust is rookies. But I have to say, sticking to the question, Brock Purdy definitely a top 15 quarterback, possibly top 10. If his season continues in the way that he's going, he definitely will be, top 10 by end of the season. The only thing I'll say is gotta get that ball out a little bit faster at times. Colton McKivitz was struggling with TJ Watt. And when you, as a quarterback, and he's still growing, mind you, this dude's still a rookie. So technically speaking, he hasn't played a full season. So he's growing. He will continue to progress. I have no doubt in my mind. But what I will say is he's got to know I got a weak point on my right side. I have to be mindful of that, especially when you got TJ Watt screaming off that edge. McKivitz had him for like a little bit, and then TJ did what he always does. He figured it out. So that's probably the only thing. But no question in my mind. Definitely top 15.
Yeah. That is crazy. And today, I forget which reporter asked him, but one of the reporters asked Kyle, that is, hey, after one of your conversations or one of the drives that kind of stalled, it looks like you pulled Brock aside and had a private conversation with him. Do you mind sharing with us what it said? And he basically said, I just kind of told him, hey, that's my bad. I expected that route to develop a little quicker. It didn't. And you need to basically be able to protect yourself in that situation. We can't have you risking your body out there like that just because the route took too long to develop. I appreciated him hearing that, if that is what he really told Brock Purdy, because I think maybe I'm the only one whose heart sank about 4 times on Sunday watching TJ Watt just completely manhandle Colton McKivitz and throw him out of the way and go straight to Brock Purdy. Luckily, nothing serious happened, but that was terrifying. I
was actually happy about that. The number one reason I wanted to see how he would fare. I wanted to see if he got up and he was holding that arm, if he was wincing, if they looked like there was any pain. I don't want him to get sacked. Don't get me wrong. But seeing him get sacked 3 times and get up and nothing's wrong, that makes me feel good because I know, okay, he's truthfully fully healed. We didn't rush him back. He's doing exactly what he needs to do, and we're okay. I don't want him getting sacked, but it tells me that he's okay. And that's where I find comfort in that. Other than that, we got to make sure we, keep some help for McKivitz, but I'm happy about that. Go ahead, Christian.
I just wanted to ask you guys a question about, like, do you guys see the Purdy being able to actually improve on his arm strength over the next couple of years?
Probably not.
I thought I saw a little more zip on the ball in the last game, but I could have sworn I've seen other quarterbacks improve their arm strength. So that's why, I remember when Brady, for instance, when he came in, his arm wasn't as strong, and then later in his career, he gets freaking Randy Moss, and he's throwing it 80 yards down the field. So maybe I'm wrong, but
this might be a good question for Matt, like the medical professional. Is arm strength something that can be improved upon, or is it kind of like whatever you have, you have?
It can be to a certain extent. I've seen, pitchers in baseball go from throwing like 92, 93 to throwing like 97, 98. It takes a long time. You have to adjust mechanics, which, I think is a little bit easier in baseball. The problem with football is that the ball is so big and it's an irregularly shaped object, and you have people flying around you. You're limited to what you can do from a musculoskeletal perspective through exercising, through strengthening of the tendons and ligaments and the musculature of the shoulder, going through, a pretty meticulous routine of building up that strength. But it's not going to be anything ridiculous. Like, he's not going to go from, being what he is now to being a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes. That's just not in the cards. It can improve, I would say, 5%, 6%, which is not nothing, right? That's not absolutely nothing. I just think that it's harder than you think, and people are generally capped, and it's much more difficult to do in football than baseball. Baseball, you're up on the mound, you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's routine. You might get an extra mile an hour on your fastball just from gripping it differently, So football is a lot different in that regard. There is a little bit you can do, but he's never going to be one of the gunslingers in the NFL for sure.
Got it. Yeah, this is just it's such a crazy conversation we're even having right now. Like if we just go back to week, I don't even know what it was, 11 of last year when he got hurt. Week 10 we got hurt in when Jimmy got hurt in Miami. I don't think any of us would have imagined we'd be sitting here week 1 talking about Brock Purdy. 1, 2, he's got a C on his chest. 3, we're talking about him as a top 15 quarterback. Like, I think we just need to take a second and really realize where we're at. Like, what a meteoric rise this kid has had. And it's really cool to see, not only as a fan of the 49ers, but just a fan of the NFL. And I forget which one of these NFL reporters tweeted it out, that Sunday will be the first time a number 1 overall pick will face off against the last overall pick of Mr. Irrelevant, starting at quarterback for each team. So that's just a cool dynamic to see. But we're going to get into the Rams preview. But before I do, again, if you guys are watching on Twitter, head over to youtube.com/49ers Hive. Join from there, hit like, hit subscribe while you're there. We appreciate everybody tuning in. What question I have for you guys is, how important is it? We talked about this for 3 months in the offseason, so I'm sure I already know you guys' answer. Mike, I'm going to start with you. A hot start. We heard the 49ers talk about it. George Kittle seemed pretty thrilled that they actually did get a hot start, at least in week 1. How important is that for that hot start to continue?
It's very important, especially because, this team seems to get better as the season goes on. If they can continue this streak, I'm saying a streak, it's been 1 game, right? But if they can continue building on, what they started already, this team is going to be dangerous. I do believe that they will get better as the season goes on. So I don't think it's far-fetched to really need this to work out right now. The guys have this confidence already, and I'm not saying that they have a fragile mindset or anything like that. I don't think that's the case, but I do think that football is a game of emotions and of momentum, and so they want to ride that momentum as long as they can, keep it going, and a 2-0 start, first place in the division, it will pay dividends down the road. I really do think so. Oh, and then the one thing I wanted to say, so my dad is friends with this guy who was a college and high school quarterbacks coach, and he was having a cookout one year, and we're out. My brother plays college ball, but he's a lineman, so it's not like, we were doing anything crazy, but we were in the street playing catch, and I was showing, the guy how far I could throw the ball, and he was like, now watch this. He showed me 2 little techniques, and it improved the velocity and accuracy on my passes. It didn't make me stronger. The arm strength didn't improve, but the ball had a significant amount of zip, velocity, and I was throwing it. It went from like rainbow balls down the street to like Colin Kaepernick type zip, like on a line, the same distance. And so those are things that can be improved on. That's transferring the weight from your hips to your arm and all that. Like all of that is a real thing, and those are the kind of things that Brock Purdy will be able to improve on throughout the career. It's just if you can do it consistently, because a lot of times when you're facing live bullets, you resort back to muscle memory.
Well, yeah, my only pushback on that is if you watch his mechanics are actually really good. He's got a strong base, wide feet, like steps into his throws. I just think it's going to be hard for him. It's just going to be like little refinement. You know what I mean? And again, at 23, there's going to be a little bit more room for growth in terms of a strength and musculature standpoint, but he's going to peak probably physically at 25, 26, like most people do. And anything that he's going to get is going to be between now and then. But it's not going to be something like eye-popping, in my opinion.
All right, guys, we are going to, by the way, I see somebody in the chat who is saying that we're just downplaying Purdy's, performance.
I mean,
for the sake of it.
We can name like 9 or 10 that are definitively better than Purdy at this point. But that's not even disrespect to Purdy. He's only been doing it for 9 games. Yeah. I think it's actually encouraging that we consider him top 15 already 9 games in. So while you take it as disrespect, I take it as something incredible. 262 pick last year. Now he's top 15 at his position. That's an underdog story if I ever heard one.
Not only that, but what do we get out of downplaying Brock Purdy? You know what I mean? Like what's in it for me to tell you he's not as good as he actually is? It should be the other way around, and maybe I'd get more clicks and likes if we were telling you he's the best quarterback in the league. But there's really not much for us to gain out of it. You know what I mean? Like, so I think we're all being genuine here. I don't see the motive for us to lie about it. He says Mahomes and Burrow are the only two quarterbacks I'd rather have, and that's it.
Yeah, see, that's delusion.
Yeah, that's look, everyone's a fan. I appreciate it, but and look, I'm not doubting he might be top 3 by the end of the year, but to say he is right now after one game, I just think that's where we disagree. But all right, before we get into this Rams game, we got a promo for y'all. Let me pull up. It's got to be somewhere here. There it is, guys. Let's make some money this weekend. Who wants to make some money? MyBookie.ag. Use promo code HIVE as in HIVE. I'm not gonna lie. I'm 0 for 5 this week, right? The Thursday game, the Sunday game, the Sunday night game, and the Monday night game. I didn't hit a single one of those bets. I blame Aaron Rodgers mostly because a lot of my bets were on him Monday night and things that had to do with him. But that's all right, because the best thing about betting is it starts all over the next game day. And guys, the next game day is tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we got an NFC showdown, a rematch from last year. Minnesota Vikings travel to Philly to face the Eagles. If I could hope for both of them to lose, I would do that, but one of them's got to win. So I might as well hope for Minnesota, level them both down to 1-1. We're going to see primetime Kirk Cousins choke it up again, or are we going to see him boasting the chains like he has sometimes? This is the greatest part about MyBookie. It's all up to you. Whatever bets you want to place, it's all up to you. You think Kirk's going to have 5 touchdowns? You think the Eagles are going to win by 40? You think Devontae Smith's going to have 3 touchdowns? Whatever it is, you can even bet if there's going to be a defensive score. Right now, mybookie.ag and use promo code HIVE. You might be asking, what does this promo code give me, Zach? It matches your first deposit all the way up to $1,000. You deposit $1,000, they'll match you $1,000. You deposit $50, they match you $50. You can do the math, guys. mybookie.ag, promo code HIVE. Go take advantage. All right, guys. Week 2, baby. 49ers are here. Rams are here. Both 1-0. Rams are surprising 1-0, but that's all right. 49ers travel to LA. Matt, I'm going to throw it back to you. What are you keeping a close eye on Sunday?
I'm going to keep a close eye on how the defense responds to what the Rams are probably going to do. Same thing they did last year, and it's the same thing that they did week 1 against Seattle. They're going to work really quick releases towards the line of scrimmage. And how are they going to be able to contain that? Now, they don't have Cooper Kupp over there in LA, but they had a guy come out of nowhere and get 10 catches. Are they going to be able to, stop what they want to stop? Or are they going to allow this? I can't remember his name. It's like Puka or something like that. But are they going to allow some unnamed guy to get after him like the Seattle Seahawks did? This is a prime example of the 49ers needing to come out and get off to that fast start that we talked about, because it's real quick. Real quickly, you can get behind the 8 ball. And this is a chance to make a statement in the NFC West that the division is yours, that the 49ers are the best team in the division, if not the conference. And they got to come out and really control the line of scrimmage. Matthew Stafford isn't going to outrun anybody, so he's there in the taking for the pocket. Rush 4, cover the line of scrimmage. Don't let anybody get behind you. It really just looking for another big-time defensive output here for this week.
Well said, man. It's going to be a great game. I'm hoping the 49ers have a repeat of last week and last season. Aside from the heartbreaker NFC championship game, obviously the 49ers have won 8 straight against the Rams regular season games. They look to make it 9 straight. Dion, I'm gonna throw it back to you. What do you expect from Brock Purdy? Let's keep talking about him.
I expect Purdy to go out there and ball. This Rams defense is ripe for the picking. You got to think about it, man. Like, outside of AD, can you tell me another defensive player? I don't know. I truthfully don't know anyone else on their defense. And it's a little sad because, AD's daddy is gone. He went over to the Tennessee Titans, Mr. Brunskill. It kind of sucks that he left, because I would love for him to be there just to own him purposely. But I expect Brock Purdy to go out there and ball, execute the game plan. I expect us to do what we normally do, go into our house in Levi South and kick the Rams' teeth in. And I expect their fans to continue to try to say this is the Rams' house while we red out their stadium and while they cry and leave early because we're going to win. That's just what I expect when it comes to the Rams. I'm sorry. And I know it may sound very cocky and very brash, And good old Jim Everett the Great is finally in the building to swear up and down that the Rams are the going to win the Super Bowl again. But I mean, it at the end of the day, when you look at the Rams, shout out to Puka Nacua, shout out to Tutu Atwell. They showed up. They played very well. Here's the difference. You were playing the Seahawks who didn't have a pass rush. Y'all forgot we had 5 sacks last week? Did y'all forget that? Did y'all forget we put a lot of pressure on Mr. Pickett? Did y'all forget that we had an interception? We had 2 interceptions. One almost returned for a touchdown. Like, I'm just saying, Rams fans cannot sit here and look at this game and go, we have, the greatest shot at winning. I understand the confidence, but it would be misplaced. Brock Purdy is going to go out there and slice and dice your defense up, and Matt Stafford is going to wind up laying on the ground looking at the sky a lot because we're going to be putting him on his back. I've said it again. I've said it before. I'll say it again. His name is Drake Jackson. Get familiar because he's coming. Pause.
Okay. All right. I love it. Brandon, I haven't heard from you in a minute. Outside of Christian McCaffrey and his fantastic 65-yard run and a few other good runs, 49ers kind of struggled a little bit on the ground game outside of Christian McCaffrey. I want that to be stated. Do you expect any more of Elijah Mitchell, maybe Jordan Mason, or do you think they're going to stick with Christian McCaffrey and just kind of get what they can out of him?
I think they're going to stick with CMC. I noticed that they did a lot last week, even though they did say that they were going to limit him a little bit, but they needed to continue to use him throughout the whole game. We barely saw Elijah Mitchell, and that kind of makes me wonder about that situation. But maybe we'll see. God, I went blank on his name right now. Not Elijah, but
Jordan Mason.
Jordan Mason.
There you go, Jordan Mason. Maybe we'll see him a little bit coming this week. But I do also have to say, going into this week as well, I'm still kind of worried about that right side on the O-line. Well, I hope McKivitz bounces back and looks way better than he did last Sunday.
I just got to say, Jim Everett saying Rams takeover in the chat is hilarious to me because it's the Rams stadium. Can you take over your own stadium for a home game? Isn't that kind of the standard?
They haven't been able to yet.
No, they haven't. Mike,
they have the help. They have the help of AI now. I heard.
Talk that talk, Matt. Talk that talk.
Mike, I'm gonna toss it to you. We saw Brandon Ayuk go off, right? 8 catches, 8 targets, I think 129 yards, 2 touchdowns. Do you expect that to continue? I don't want to say this is the reason why, but contract year maybe it's having a little bit to do with it. Do you think we see a repeat of that from BA?
I don't think we see 100% completion. He was 8 for 8. But I do think that he's going to get his. I know, you guys are talking about Aaron Donald and, who else is there. But Akello Witherspoon has been itching to get back. Listen, just hear me out. Just hear me out.
Could even make it an hour.
I'm not saying he's going to do anything special, but I'm not saying he's not either. There's something about players who go against their former teams. They have something to prove. That's all I'm saying. And I think that he knows this offense well. He practiced against it for years. He might be a factor in this game. I just think we have to be mindful of that. Those things make a difference. They make a difference. So, we'll see what happens. But I expect Brandon Ayuk to be just fine. I will be interested to see who's covering who and how they choose to cover people. Are they going to have someone shadowing a certain player or not? But, that remains to be seen.
Okay. All right. Matt, your turn.
Listen, the last time I saw an Akello Witherspoon highlight was when he was getting yeeted last week by DK Metcalf. Akello about to get worked, bro.
And the legal block in the back is reflective of his coverage ability?
No, the fact that the 49ers booted his ass out of town and he's on his 5th team is reflective of his coverage ability.
Okay.
I think I saw he has like a dislocated rib or something. I don't know. So
he has a rib and a hip contusion. So
he's
got a rib and a hip bruise, but he's going to be able to play.
Yeah. That was a pretty nasty hit from DK. I was gonna
honestly, that was fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
you can't do that kind of thing. Like, that's not even cool. But
way too dirty.
That's
sorry.
DK.
Yeah,
he's like the only diva wide receiver left in the NFL at this point.
Yeah. And, it's funny because it's like the exact opposite in the 49ers. They have a Juwan Jennings who gets in the head of the other players, and DK is like the player that is able to get into his head. Matt, my question for you, 49ers allowed 7 points last week.
Sure.
What type of defensive performance do you expect this week?
I think it's hard to hold teams under double digits in the NFL. That's just the nature of 2023 NFL football. It's just not realistic each week. I don't think that we can have an expectation of anything less than 10 points, but that doesn't mean that the 49ers aren't going to be able to get stuff done, because this is a team that, since Brock Purdy took over, has scored 30 points in at least 30 points in each of his regular season starts. I would expect more of the same. There's going to be, if they can hold the Rams under 20, I mean, that's something that you're looking at as like a pretty good day. If they can hold them under 14, that would be, this is 49ers football. Everything's gone right. We're forcing turnovers. We're doing the same thing that we did last week. And, on a week in, week out basis, you can be around that area, oscillate over 14, under 14. But as long as they can keep them under 20, I mean, they're doing their job. You know what I mean? NFL football is a lot. And when you look at the 49ers and how much they score, that also puts pressure on the defense. That gives the other offense more possessions, right? Like, every time the 49ers score, that means the ball goes right back to the opponent and they have a chance to score. If they can tackle, I would expect them to do really well. But I agree with Brandon and his assessment. That right side of the line has to have a better performance than they did last week. They have to account for Aaron Donald. That's going to be the big one.
It's going to be tough, but we'll see how they handle it. Christian, I'm going to throw it to you. We saw Drake Jackson have his breakout game, 3 sacks, matching his sack output total from last year. Nick Bosa obviously came into the season, late, missed camp with the contract negotiation holdout. Do you expect Bosa to still kind of be a little raw, or what's the term I'm looking for? Catch up to speed, a little slow, a little behind, and maybe the rest of the defensive linemen have to pick up the speed? Or do you think 1 week, 1 game was enough for Bosa? We'll see, him getting those numbers back in the tally.
I think he'll be fine. I think he loves to play the Rams, and especially Stafford. We got to remember, when we play Stafford, he's a statue, and there's nothing more that our defensive line lacks than quarterbacks that are statue. I think we're going to have just as many, if not more, sacks against the Rams, because Stafford can't move. I'd say Bosa gets 1 for sure, maybe 2. I think he'll come back and be fine. We could practice everything. I think he'll be good. I'm actually, my favorite matchup this whole game is just watching what the D line freaking dominate, because I think that we could get many sacks and just like another year for Stafford. I mean, he's been in the league since 2009. He's coming off a back injury, right? So he's definitely not going to be able to move fast. If you give him time in the pocket, he'll freaking annihilate you. But we're not the Seahawks. We're not giving him time in the pocket. And I'm interested too to see, because I know the defensive line is going to eat how we're going to play the corners. I kind of want to see like the corners be extremely physical to start the game. The two receivers that did well for the Rams last week are small. Like, they're not super big. Like, Puka Nacua I know he played for the Huskies for a year and then went and played for BYU. So I know who Nacua is. His brother played for Utah. He's not super big, and then Tutu's not big either. So I'd like to see us be super physical, and I think the more physical the corners are, I think we're going to get up. We're just going to be all over Stafford all game, and I think Bosa is going to have at least 2 sacks.
Damn. All right. I love it. Mike, I'm going to toss it back to you. Which team had the more impressive win in week 1? The 49ers versus the Steelers, or the Rams versus the Seahawks?
49ers versus Steelers. And I don't think it's close. I think the Niners took the foot off the gas in the second half. I think they just wanted to get out of there safe. I think it could have been much worse than what it was. And the Rams were trying all game. Now, I don't want to take anything away from them, but I actually have the game on in the background right now, and it's cool. They found a way to put the points up, but I'm not seeing anything that was like you can't stop this. With the Niners, they're going to find the mismatch on the field. They'll find it early, and they're going to scheme around that for the rest of the game. So I think the Niners win was definitely more impressive.
I'd have to agree with you there. Although I'll give the Rams some credit. And this was one of my bets, one of my parlays, did not have the Seahawks losing to the Rams in Seattle to start the season. But I was listening to Eric Armstead's podcast. Weird shit just happens in week one, right? Like, it's a crapshoot. Teams are still trying to get a feel for each other, for themselves. And maybe teams you don't expect to win, teams you don't expect to lose. But at the same time, I think we've heard for the past 6 months how good the Seahawks are. Maybe we need to pump those brakes a little bit because they're not that great. Matt, is that what you're about to say? Okay.
Yeah, no, listen, I just want to go into, like, you're not going to see another game where, an opposing team gets 12 yards in the second half of a football game, which is what Seattle did against the LA Rams. And I just want to say, I know it's week one. I'm not hyperbolic, but I'm getting that. I told you so about Geno Smith-Ready. 16 of 26 for 112 yards is trash. And he doesn't have the type of, capital in the bank to back it up like a Joe Burrow or a Lamar Jackson, who also had really rough week ones. He doesn't have that cachet saved up. He had a good 10 games last year and then fell back to earth. It looks like he's back to being the Geno Smith that we all know and love. So I would not listen, the Rams might be feeling themselves after this, but they're in for a rude awakening if they think that this offense for the 49ers is going to come out and do the same stuff that Seattle did. That was pathetic.
Yeah. That was pretty shocking. And 12 yards for the Seahawks in the entire second half. That's just mind-boggling. And like, I forget who said it, but outside of Aaron Donald, like, what players do the Rams even have on defense? So it's going to be crazy, but I think the 49ers are going to continue their success. I'm looking forward to this game. I'm looking forward to, this is Brock Purdy's first matchup with the Rams. So he played Jimmy both times last year. So Brock Purdy gets a taste of this. I don't know if you would still consider it a rivalry, but this divisional matchup. Mike, what's one thing you're going to be keeping an eye on Sunday?
I think the right tackle. A lot of people were saying Burford was really bad. It was a debate that Wayne and I had on the show earlier today. I think it's more important to, really know what that right tackle is going to do. The Rams, I don't know. I'm not worried about any of their pass rushers, especially coming off of the edge, but I will be interested to see how they use Aaron Donald in that postseason game where they actually got the dub. He moved all up and down the defensive line. So I will be interested to see how they do that. And we have to hope that McKivitz just shows some improvement. He has to.
That's going to be, pretty important moving forward, because I keep trying to tell myself, not every team has a TJ Watt. Not every team has a TJ Watt. Like, it's like, it'll be okay. We're not going to be faced up. But then again, when you do get to the playoffs, most teams have at least one premier edge rusher. So I would hope by the time come late December, come January, we either have another answer at right tackle, or McKivitz has, maybe I'm being way too optimistic to say, has evolved enough to be a solid starting right tackle. But hey, they got picks, they got cap space. It's not like, this is what also cracks me up. I've seen this a lot on Twitter, guys. Deanna, I'm gonna throw it to you after this. People go, why don't they just trade for one? They should just trade for a starting right tackle. There are not 32 starting caliber right tackles in the league to begin with. How many teams do you think are willing to part with any? If the 49ers, Deanna, this is why I'm tossing to you with this question, then we'll get into our final score predictions, yada, yada. If they were to make a move for any position, you don't even have to say player, what position do you think that would be when the trade deadline were to get here? I know it's tough to predict weeks out.
It's really hard to figure it out, because we got around 40 million in cap space right now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, just a little over 40 mil. I honestly think that we cleared that cap space for two reasons. One, if Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl, we're going to have to break him off. Or two, we cleared out the cap space so we'd be able to try to keep BA. Because if he balls out throughout the whole season, there'll definitely be another holdout because we all know how the 49ers do with, contract negotiations. It takes 50 years, but it gets done. So we'll have to wait on John and Parag to, figure out whatever they're going to figure out and hopefully pay the man. If Drake Jackson keeps playing the way that he plays, I really don't see anything that we would need unless out of nowhere we sign a nickel. Because if I'm not mistaken, Mike, didn't you say earlier on the show with you and Breezy that Ambry Thomas was benched? Or did I hear that somewhere else?
No, he was pulled because they thought he had a concussion. It wasn't necessarily that he was benched, but Kyle came out afterwards and said that he was clear. So I don't think they're worried about him.
Okay, so that yeah, but I mean, like, honestly, a nickel DB would be the only thing I could think that we would really need. Everything else we're solid on. There's no one else that we really truthfully have to worry about. We didn't even get to see any of Ronnie Bell, so not worried about anything else. I don't feel like we need another D in Acebra. I feel like we're solid with our defensive line. As long as the starters stay healthy and the guys that come in to spell them keep doing what they're doing, that works. I honestly think that our DNs are fine. Drake Jackson and Nick Bosa will do the job. If you got that exterior rush coming at you that fast, because both of those dudes are quick off the ball, and then you've got Eric and Javon in the middle just ridiculously pushing that, like, there's no hope. And all you got to do truthfully is just everybody can take a page from Drake, get your hands up. But outside of a nickel corner, I really don't see us making a move. We truthfully don't need anything. We have everybody at the positions that we have, and I don't see a need to make a trade outside of that position.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. I'm actually surprised by that answer, but I appreciate it. Is there anything I didn't get to for this Rams game before we get into our predictions?
Just that we're going to red out the stadium again. And, there's going to be somebody in there with one of those stupid Rams towels doing the same thing he did. And they're going to say, "What are you doing?" He's going to say, "Cleaning my house." What's going on, Bashar? Here's the number one thing is, and I have to say this. Rudy was on with Wayne earlier, just spitting absolute ignorance. Like, I get when you are a homer and you want to be a fan, but you got to be realistic. Like, this dude really makes it seem like the Rams are just going to come through and just wreck shock. The last time you beat us was the NFC Championship game. Any other time you lose. So I'm sorry, with those odds, with the rebuild that you guys are going through, it just doesn't look good for the Rams. I mean, just looking at it from an objective standpoint, not even being a homer. Just look at it. Anybody with a brain in their head right now definitely is going to pick the Niners. If you pick the Rams, you are just doing it for pure spite. Because there's no way. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. There's no 30. Y'all go ahead. I'm not even going to entertain that.
All right.
I do want to say one thing really quick, though. I know Darion Kendrick is a young upcoming. They have players there because we don't know their names and they're not household names yet. Doesn't mean that they're not players. That's one thing I want to say. But I wanted to ask Zach a question really quick. You said you were surprised by Deion's answer, as if maybe there was someone you thought or a position you thought that the Niners should be trading for outside of right tackle. What was your surprise when, Deion said we're pretty much good?
No. Okay. Well, your caveat outside of right tackle, I was expecting just any offensive lineman, maybe a swing tackle. I don't know, but anyone maybe who has started a few games, maybe, I don't know. But I actually agree with outside of right tackle or any offensive lineman. I don't know where you could trade for somebody and they would play over who we have right now. I really don't. Maybe a second tight end. But Kyle, for some reason, is in love with Ross Dwelley and Charlie Warner that I don't even know if another tight end would sniff the field. So And maybe it's their blocking abilities.
Do you guys think the Niners should kick the tires on Lyle Collins?
If he can pass a physical, I don't see why not.
Okay.
Started a handful of games last year, if I remember correctly.
I mean, he'd be cheap. He's not going to cost us a ton of money. We got the cap space. I mean, if he feels like he could, come in and do something, maybe. But like I said, I don't know. I feel so comfortable with what we have outside of maybe the nickel spot. I don't see anything else that we truthfully need. We're set at receiver. Our line is pretty solid. We just have to make sure the right side gets it together. I know it's going to be a tough task for Burford and for McKivitz to deal with Aaron Donald because he's going nowhere near that left side. Anybody that's smart is just I'm not going over there dealing with Trent, dealing with Aaron for what? Go over here where the weak guys are. Just makes sense.
Hey, I have a question. Do we see SoFi bring out the AI fans this weekend?
In their defense, I heard that was like for the movie promotion. There's this new movie that's coming out. I don't know if they do it 2 weeks in a row though, but I mean, who knows?
No, Mike, no, we ain't defending the Rams, sir. No,
that was at a Chargers game though. The AI was for the Chargers.
Oh,
but I think SoFi's desperate right now
because the Rams played in Seattle on Sunday. So that AI was
That was
we were right. My wife's a Dolphins fan, so we were watching Dolphins Chargers, and they kept showing them, and they were really creepy.
Somebody thought they were like real robots. I'm pretty sure it's just a person with makeup on.
No, they were robots.
Really?
Yeah. No, actual robots.
I've only seen the pictures.
They're actual like robots. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, must have spent a lot of money on that promo.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's gonna suck for the Rams because they're paying the rent on that stadium. Like the Chargers literally are paying $1, literally a full $1 for rent because of what the Rams owner did. Like this is not, and I'm not lying. Jim Everett, the great, you may want to talk to your owner, tell him stop doing sneaky underhanded crap, and he won't have y'all paying the bulk of the rent, literally.
Their owner's rich as shit though, so.
But what rich? Okay, put it like this: what rich person do you know wants to spend money they don't have to? Rich people are frugal. That's why they're rich.
He knew getting with the owners of the Chargers are poor.
Real quick, SoFi was entirely privately funded by Stan Kroenke. He paid for the whole thing. Taxpayers don't pay a dime for that.
Nice.
He's wealthy. He's rich. He's like one of the two richest owners.
That's why he can charge the Chargers $1 or whatever. It was just to get the second team in there because if you don't remember, the Raiders had first dibs on LA if they wanted to go, and they chose to go to Las Vegas instead, which gave Chargers the second dib. It was like this whole thing that the NFL had to go through for it. But Kroenke, Christian's right. Dude, Kroenke's richer than Godiva chocolate, bro. Like, that dude can pay for whatever. So that stadium's entirely privately funded. It was like $5 billion.
And he literally just had like 3 teams win championships within the last 2 years.
That's true,
the Rams, the Avalanche, and the Nuggets.
Good for him.
Wait, no, he owns all 3 of those?
All 3.
Oh, man, let me shut up then. That man ain't worried about a dime. He ain't worried about nothing. He wiped his ass with that money. My bad. I didn't know he was balling like that. Honestly, I didn't. I didn't know he was balling like that.
And the other thing that people overlook with the Chargers paying $1 a year in rent, by having the second team move in there, they actually got $200 million from the NFL's G4 fund to construct the stadium. So that was really the Chargers' contribution was $200 million towards it from the league. So it's kind of a whole thing, but yeah.
Damn. All right, guys, let's get into our predictions for the game. Let's start with offensive MVP predictions. I'm going to go first so I can steal it before you guys get to it. I'm going to go with quarterback Brock Purdy. I think he's going to have another efficient day. I'm going to say 22 for 28, 250 yards, and another 2 touchdowns. That seems to be a sweet spot. 2 touchdowns. And by the way, I think we said it in the post-game show, but first quarterback in NFL history, first 6 starts with a pass rating, I believe, over 95, and also first quarterback to throw at least 2 touchdowns and win the first 6 starts. Brock Purdy's already in the Hall of Fame, already in the record books. So let's do this shit. Matt, I'm going to toss it back to you. Who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the man who had himself a day the first time he played the Rams in a 49ers uniform. I'm going with Christian McCaffrey. I think he has 100 yards rushing, 50 yards receiving. He's going to have 3 touchdowns. I don't think he'll have a throwing one. It'll be 2 rushing and a receiving.
Okay. Christian, who do you got?
I'm going to go with the guy that we forgot to talk about, who's the real daddy of the Rams, and my boy Debo. Every year his best games are against the Rams, dude. He owns them. He goes off every time we play the Rams, every single time without fail. So I'm going Debo. It was Ayuk's week last week. This week's Debo.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you guys have caught Debo on Up and Adams with Kay Adams. He has a reoccurring Tuesday segment. It's actually really entertaining, and it's a side of Debo really get to see. So check that out on YouTube. Mike, who do you got?
I was gonna go with Debo as well. I think that Kyle is using 49ers players in fantasy football is like trying to use Patriots players in fantasy football, right? Like Bill Belichick will have a guy rush for 300 yards and then bench him the next week. Like it's weird. And not that Kyle's going to bench anybody, but Kyle wants you to focus on this guy because I've got other weapons all over the place. I was going to go with Debo, but for the sake of being different, I think George Kittle might have a really good game coming across the middle, testing people out over there, testing those linebackers out. I'm going with Kittle all day. Kittle across the middle, baby.
Speaking of fantasy, I really hope you're right because he gave me 3 points last week, and Elijah Mitchell gave me a whopping 0.6. I don't know why I threw him into my flex position at the last second, but I did. Dion, who do you got? Offensive MVP prediction.
I'm gonna go with the same guy who went off last week, man. BA all day. I'm sorry. I think Brandon Ayuk is in for a monster season. I think Brandon Ayuk is over 1,000 yards and double-digit TDs. He is looking to get paid along with I love his pressure after the game. They asked him about respect, and he was like, I'm not even worried about respect, man. I'm just going to go out there and do my thing. And that's the whole point. I'm going to let my play talk. Patrick Peterson, yeah, oh, my God. Look, I've seen old people in the club before. He looked like that old player in the club that's like 45, still trying to holler at the young girl. In his little post-game interview, when he was explaining why he didn't get his interception, he had his little shirt on with his, with the little button down. I'm telling you, man, he looked like that dude who was, oh yeah, come here, baby. I got something for you. Like this, I'm sorry, but I think Brandon Ayuk is going to just bake anybody he goes against. I feel bad for the Rams DBs. He's going to cook somebody, and it's going to be ugly. And when he does, I will be laughing. And when I do my show, I will be very happy to invite Jim Everett the Great on so I can laugh in his face.
Brandon, who do you got? Offensive MVP. You're muted.
So Mike took my answer. I was going to go with George Kittle too. It's okay, Mike. It's okay. I just think this is the week that this is going to be his game. But yeah, I think George Kittle is going to go off.
All right, I'm going to double right back with you. Snake back down. Defensive MVP, Brandon. Who do you got?
Defense, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going with Hargrave. I think he's going to get 2 sacks this game.
Okay, I like it. Dion, right back at you. Defensive MVP.
I'm sticking with my dog, Drizzy Drake Jackson, or as Peachy calls him, Drake Action Jackson. Some people call him Drake Saxon. Call him whatever you want, but don't call him late to sack the quarterback. Drake Jackson, baby.
All right, Mike, who do you got?
I'm going to go with Fred Warner. I think he's going to lead the team in tackles this week, and he dropped a gimme last week. Fred's going to make up for it this week. He's going to be all over the field. One of my favorite highlights, I believe it was against the Rams, was him like diving over someone, like just coming straight across the field. My man is running this way. Fred's coming this way, and he just dives over a Niner player, just lays my man out. I believe that was the team that he was doing that against. Fred Warner hits a different gear, and he owes the team something for that drop pick from last week. So he's going to be looking to cash in right now.
And before I toss to Christian, speaking of Warner, Niners podcast, anybody following Fred Warner's new podcast? I have. He has one with the 33rd team, him and his wife. It's cool. It's cool to get a view into them that you don't normally see. Kind of her side of the podcast is like the wife of an athlete, NFL player type podcast. And he talks very little X's and O's of football, just FYI. If you're going to go listen to it for that, don't. Although apparently this week he's going to have Demetrius Flanagan Fowles on it because his wife is going to be out of town. So check it out if you guys want to check it out. It's pretty cool. Christian, who do you got for defensive MVP?
I'm going to go Armstead because, I mean, he really was the MVP kind of last week. I mean, the amount of pressure he got up the middle was insane. And I think it's going to actually turn into sacks this week because, you know, Stafford's not going to move much out of the pocket. So he'll be there for Armstead to be able to take down. You know, Armstead was getting that pressure, but Pickett was able to escape, and he pushed him right into Jackson's sack. So I think Armstead's going to continue playing well, but I think it's actually going to show up and he's going to get a sack or two.
Okay, Mike, you have something to say?
I just want to say, watching the game again through 2 drives, Matthew Stafford is actually moving pretty well in this pocket. And again, it's just 2 drives. I don't know if he wears down later on in the game. And, you know how the opening drives are for teams, right? They're very meticulous. So, I mean, it could have all been part of the game plan so far, but he is navigating this pocket really well. He's not panicking. He knows where the checkdowns are. He's making some sidearm throws when the pressure is coming right up the middle at him. He's throwing it around the defender with his arms up in the air. I mean, I know that he missed the 8 games last year. And there were talks about maybe he's going to retire and all that stuff, but he's looking decent so far through 2 drives. And if that's the guy that we see, he's not going to be the statue that we're expecting or anticipating.
Well, that's the thing about these early season games is mostly everyone's healthy. So
right.
We'll see how long that lasts. There's also reports they tried trading him this offseason. So
I mean,
weird as it is.
Even the time when we played him when he was healthy and move in the pocket, like in the playoff game that we ended up losing, we still hit him a bunch and sacked him a bunch. We just didn't play good enough offensively to win that game. I no matter what Stafford we get, it really does not scare me because we always get to him. We every time we played him, we've had multiple sacks, whether he's healthy or not. So we're his kryptonite. I mean, he really struggles against our defense. I even if he's looking good against the Seahawks defense, I just feel like he might have some good throws and make some good plays because he's Matthew Stafford, but we're going to get a lot of pressure. And when on the money downs, 3rd down, that's when we're going to get the sacks. I just think it's going to be just like every other time we played him.
Matt, who do you got?
No, I just want to touch on that real quick. Matthew Stafford does make some plays, but he will put the ball in danger. Expect more of the same out of that. Y'all already know what I'm going to say. Y'all already know. It's each and every week. And the one time it happened, I wasn't on the show. So if I didn't see it, it wasn't real. Nick Bosa, 3 sacks and a forced fumble. Let's go, baby.
All right. What are the chances the one time it actually did happen, Matt, was it here?
That's why it's the simulation, bro. It was a glitch in the Matrix.
All right. For me, in my opinion, since for the past couple of years, there's 2 players that have owned the Rams and the 49ers, Deebo Samuel and Talanoa Hufanga. I'm going to go Hufanga. I think he's going to have another interception this week on Matthew Stafford. Just like Matt said, he puts the ball in harm's way. Regardless of how many lasers he's throwing, there's still a couple of ridiculous balls he gets in there that are going to get picked off. I think Hufanga has at least an interception, and he's just going to be flying around the field come Sunday. All right, guys, final score predictions. I'll start, and we'll double back up just like we did with the predictions, offensive, defensive MVP. Final score predictions, I'm going to go 27-13 49ers. I think they cover. I believe it's currently like an 8-point spread, which is pretty crazy on the road. But I think this team is just on a different level right now than the Rams. Matt, what do you got?
I'm going to do you one better. I think the trend continues with Brock Purdy and those 30-point performances. I'm going 49ers 31, Rams 13.
Christian.
I know it's kind of lame, but I'm sticking with the not making picks.
Okay, that's fine.
I just
you got
go
tradition
with,
going.
I haven't been doing it, and we've been winning.
We're all
I'm just
scared of
gonna
something.
stick with it.
We're all scared of something.
I'm superstitious. I'm just gonna stick with it. Right. I didn't make one last week. I'm gonna continue.
It's only weird if it doesn't work, man.
Right. Exactly. So I'm just gonna go with if you want a prediction from me, we're gonna end up with 6 sacks in this game and 2 interceptions.
If you want a prediction from him, go to his onlyfans.com/Christian. Mike, what's your prediction?
I'll keep it short and sweet, man. I think the Niners dominate this game. I think we take our foot off the gas in the fourth quarter, but that doesn't mean much. I'm going to go Niners 37, the Rams 23.
Okay. That's like Kyle's worst nightmare if you listen to this last press conference talking about how Detroit Lions in week 1 of 2021 scared him straight, pulling his starters because they almost came back. Dion, who do you got? What do you got? Excuse me.
I'm gonna go a little different, man. I'm gonna say 37-7. I really see us putting a lot of points up on the Rams, and I do honestly see Matthew Stafford feeling like he's gonna have a good game. I feel like he's gonna have like that one drive early in the game that's gonna set him up to feel better than he normally would, and then next thing you know, right in the mouth, somebody's just gonna come and sack him and just knock him back into reality. You know what I'm saying? I have to say 37-7. I don't know. The rookie receivers versus our veteran DBs, you know, the fact that they don't necessarily have a running game. The O-line is very suspect. You know, our offense, like we're better than them in every phase of the game. We truthfully are. And I'm not even being a homer. I'm just looking at it from an objective standpoint. So 37-7. I don't see the Rams winning this game at all. They've lost to us the last 8 times. What's going to change now?
Okay. Brandon.
So I'm going to go 35-7, and they only get that 7 points because of some stupid penalties, kind of like what they did last week.
Okay. All right. Interesting. All right, guys. This is something we do. You guys haven't been on for, but we do a chat pack question to end every show. And I'm going to get a good one here. Sorry. I'm getting a lot of, there we go. Okay. I'm going to get a good one here, and we'll pick a nice question for somebody, for all of us to answer, and in the chat too. And by the way, guys, the chat, if you get the final score prediction right, we'll send you some merch. Only one person has ever gotten it right before, and they did not respond when we hit them up to pick their merch out. So you could be the first person to get your merch if you correctly guess the score. It has to be before kickoff, though. You can't wait until 5 minutes left in the game and comment. Okay. This is a good one. If you were asked to create the ultimate vacation destination, where would it be located and what would it look like? Chat, like I said, you can answer as well in the chat. If you were asked to create the ultimate vacation destination, where would it be located and what would it look like? This is a tough one. I don't know if anybody has an answer already. Please feel free.
Yep, I got one.
That was quick.
Hold on. Give me just 1 second. Hold on.
Is Stafford a better quarterback than Purdy?
Okay, I got you. It's Thursday, right? It's February 8th, 2024. The setting, Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas, right? You're sitting there at the sports book. They're guiding you through. And what do you see on the screen? Bet to win it all, San Francisco 49ers Super Bowl. Oh, and what's this? You go by the bar. All of a sudden, sir, you're the winner. Here's your Super Bowl tickets, 50-yard line. Super Bowl in 2024, 49ers there. Quest for 6. We're going to get it done. Let's go, baby. Nothing like Las Vegas for 49ers football.
Damn. All right. I love it. By the way, I texted the chat this morning, and I just did this yesterday. Seriously, I texted the group, not the chat. Chat, this is the perfect time to ask for Super Bowl Monday off. It's far out enough that probably nobody has it, but it's enough out in time that it's not weird for you to ask for it off. Say you got some family coming over. Trust me, you will not regret taking the Monday after Super Bowl off. I've done it for the past 3 years in a row. Get hammered, watch the game, eat good food, and not have to go to work the next day. It's the best thing. So right now, September 13th, as we record this, ask for it off. I believe it's February 12th. Ask for it off. All right. My dream vacation. This is actually a tough one because it's either somewhere in like Central California or the Pacific Northwest. Like if you could put me in the woods where it's like 60 degrees, a little stormy. I'm in like a cabin with my dogs, my girl. That's pretty perfect for me. If you just give me a week out there, like disconnected from everything, which is a little cabin, I'd be pretty happy. Mike, excuse me, you got one?
I do. I'm going back to Cancun in the winter. Just give me the winter. The humidity damn near doesn't exist. We went in December for a wedding. We were there for a week, and even when it rained, it was still beautiful, right? Like your high was 89 one day, and it didn't feel like 89 at all. I don't know if it's because I'm up here in the Northeast, but 89 here is sweltering. It weighs on you. Out there, when the wind blew, you got cool. You just sat out in the sun. It was beautiful. We just sat around and just asked for drinks the entire time. We didn't pay for it. Well, obviously we paid for the resort that we were on, right? This all-inclusive resort, but it was phenomenal. It was no worries about anything. If we wanted them to come in and make the beds, fine, albeit, but like we walked in this beautiful suite, the bottles of champagne sitting on the table, the fresh fruit basket sitting there waiting for you and everything, and zero cares in the world. It was just good, fresh air. We got to sit there and look at dolphins, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. I've got to get back out there again in the wintertime. In the winter, I would not want to go in the summer. I can't imagine what the heat is like then, but in the wintertime, it was absolutely gorgeous.
I've never been. It sounds beautiful. Jose says Central Cali, bro. Fresno sucks. I'm talking like San Luis Obispo, Pismo area. I believe that's still classified as Central California. Who hasn't gone?
I got one.
Go ahead, Dion.
For me, man, I ain't even gonna front you. Greece. I've just seen so many pictures, man, and it just looks like beautiful.
Like Santorini, right?
Wait, say it again?
Like Santorini, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
like
it looks incredible. Yeah.
I love when I see like clear water and you can literally see through the shit. Like that right there is just like complete zen. Like whenever I actually do go back home to California, that's what I hit the beach. It's the first place I usually want to go. And I just sit there, man, just breathe the salt water in, just find your peace. But yeah, man, I would love to go to Greece and just relax, man, and just, have like some nice little, breakfast, just take me and the wife, man, and be able to get out there and just have a good time. But I'd say Greece, and then, 49er game on in the background. Yeah, it works. It works.
That's why I said the funny one, right? Like I said the Super Bowl thing, but in actuality, it would probably be somewhere like Bora Bora or Fiji or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about saying it. I have seen so many beautiful pictures of New Zealand, but I have no idea what the weather is like out there. So that's why I was so hesitant, but it just looks incredible. Like New Zealand.
Yeah, like the land in general is just beautiful. I feel like the air there is completely different than the shit we're breathing here.
Once I found out they filmed Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter in New Zealand.
Yeah, in New Zealand.
Shit, I gotta check this place out.
Yeah.
But I hate flying. And that'd probably be like a 20-something hour flight. Brandon Christian, I think
it's like 16, bro. It's like 16.
Yeah. That's
I got one. So I'm half Sicilian, so the place I want to go is Sicily. I've always wanted to go to Sicily. It looks like a beautiful place to visit and just see how it is out there. So, yeah, Sicily.
Show. Christian.
Mine would be Japan in April. In April, because I want to go see the countryside and the beautiful pink cherry blossoms. Just pure nature, and listen to the sounds of some of the most beautiful nature you could ever see, and learn some about go and see some of the places and learn some about some of the ancient history of Japan with the all the different. There's so much history there. I'd love to even take an excursion to go see one of the Japanese giant salamanders that are protected. Even touching them, you can get put in jail. So but they do take people to see them. So I'd love to do that. You know, go get my own handmade kimono. You know, just that sounds perfect to me. Just a beautiful, ancient country.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I got a friend who went to Japan. He said you got to do 3 weeks minimum.
Yeah, exactly.
3 weeks minimum.
Because I want to see
more like a month. You got to do a lot of stuff. Yeah,
I want to see most of the countryside more than I even want to see the.
Tokyo itself is going to take you like a week to just like touch the major points, right?
Oh, I
and
know.
then you go outside of that. You know, you got
all the little islands.
Yep, you got the islands. You got Osaka. You have Hiroshima. You know, you got all the different places that you can go up and down, and that's just population, right? And like you said, countryside is beautiful. Cherry blossoms, or as they're known in Japan, sakura. Very, very cool. Very, very cool trees.
That's awesome. All right, guys, we like to do these chat pack questions just to let you guys learn a little about us outside of football. We think it's fun. So if you guys like it, you want to see more, hit like, hit subscribe. I want to give a huge thank you to my cast this evening, Christian, of course, Matt and Mike. You guys always make time. Appreciate it. Brandon and Dion as well. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. All of our handles are on the screen. I would give everybody a minute to say goodbye, but it's going to take too long since there's so many of us. Hit like, subscribe, and like I said, follow everybody's podcast, follow everybody's YouTube channel, or subscribe, I should say. Forvever Faithful Podcast, Niner Game Podcast, and of course, you know Mike over at Nothing But Niners. Follow Nothing But Niners on Instagram, Patreon.com as well. Whatever, I believe the other guys have a Patreon as well. Is that correct? Dion, I know you got a Patreon. All right, so patreon.com/Forvever Podcast, Forvever Faithful Podcast, and Niner Game Podcast. Support the crew, guys. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Now they got all that out. Matt, you want to carry us out?
Absolutely. Week 2, another week, another win for the 49ers. We're going to invade Levi's South, turn the place red. We're going to paint the Rams red as we beat their ass on the field. So we're going to keep it short and sweet tonight. Thank you, everybody who joined us on the panel and in the chat. We love having you here. So let's go get another dub. And until next time, go Niners.